What's good, everybody? I hope that everybody is enjoying their Tuesday evening. It's chilly, and where I am, it's raining. So I hope wherever you are, you are warm, safe, and dry. So, Kevin McCall, he was the former songwriter with Chris Brown. He also shares a child, a little girl, with Eva Marcel. He has gone on this podcast and has broken down and started crying because he is struggling financially, essentially. Um, and what struck me is when he starts talking about his EBT card, he takes it out of his wallet and, he's showing the EBT card and he is essentially crying. But he also said that he felt like he had to hide his face when he went to apply. And it reminded me of that episode of Martin. Y'all remember when Martin walked in to the unemployment office with Myra and she was like, "Don't nobody know you, honey." Now listen, whether or not people knew him, in the year of our Lord 2025, when I tell you that folks are out here struggling, okay? We just had a whole you know, weeks worth of content over Wendy and Eddie Osefo out here scamming the insurance companies and taking clothes back and doing the most. Okay, stunting for the gram for real, and they got more degrees between them two than a thermometer. Okay, so Kevin McCall, at one point he seemed like he was on top of the world. And the next point, it all came crashing down. And I promise you, that's life. Life is a series of mountains and valleys. Now, one would hope that as we grow older, we can gain, some sort of like stability. But because if you did it once, you can do it again, right? You know what I mean? Like if you're a strong songwriter, you can absolutely build off of that talent. Just like, Chris Brown, um, at one point he was at his lowest with the substance charges and all kind of lawsuits in regards to the DV situation with Rihanna and Karrueche Tran, all these things. It's like you know his tour. He was actually locked up overseas in the UK. I made a video about it, but his tour has also been very financially successful and it raked in $106 million. So once one monkey don't stop no show. Like one setback, you might get knocked down to your feet a little bit, but you brush yourself off and try again. Shout out to rest in peace, Aaliyah. Um, but let's go ahead and hear what he has to say on this podcast because he breaks down and is really, crying and snotting and talking about it's not fair. It's a mess.
What was we talking about? I need that bread. All this could have been, she could have paid for my lawyers. And so I just lost both of my daughters is in Atlanta right now. I don't know what the in Atlanta's scammers and a whole lot of other shit. But my baby mamas is out there. Salute to them. They doing a great job with my daughters. I love y'all so much for that. And y'all so beautiful. It's in Atlanta. You don't got no. I lost rights to my daughter, my oldest. So you lost all custody. I had a trial. I'm all in my prison clothes. I'm like, why can't we just put this off? Like my child support is $2,000, right? Deuces ain't been popping since 2012. Why is my child support $2,000? So I had all this back pay. Then I sold my catalog for $500,000. I only got $250,000 out of it. I bought my mama a house for $50,000, and then I had to pay all this child support. Why was my child support $2,000? I'm not Future or none of these like. So then I got the arrears, not retrograde. That's the little star shit. Even if you still had your child in California, am I correct? Yeah, I gotta prove all of that. They wasn't supposed to. I didn't have nothing on Marley. Marley, I gotta go and file a paternity, a petition for paternity. It's only $300, but watch this. I don't think it's a game, bro. No, this for when I poke. Don't walk up on me playing. Or you King Breezy and keep that on the internet. My bad. I went too far? All right, music.
Despite your flaws as a human being, you
were one of the most talented individuals to ever grace the music industry. But we gonna get to that. So I'm gonna get to that. Veer. I love how you try that. I love how you. Yeah, we gonna veer to that. But we gonna. Why the you have a testimony? Why the fuck you like get in on it? I witnessed it. He finna be in here and tell us what's going on. EBT card. Is at Breezy Bowl and made 90 whatever the million, and it said KKKKK Max. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro. Leading up to who he is. I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like, what the fuck? I can't even get nothing, bro, man. Y'all want to see the car I'm here, so I can think I'm a bro. Fuck, nigga. That ain't fair, man. Hey, I'm on EBT, bro. Hey, that's wild, man. Hey. Look, bro. I'm down, bro. I'm on EBT, fat man. Say my name, bro. That shit is bad. I had to go up in that by my face with a glove, like COVID, bro. Don't act like every had no motherfucking EBT card. On the set, a nigga had an EBT card. And then I might get an EBT. I'm a good hell. Look at my praise. Let me tell you this, cuz. My name. Me and Heather went to the county building together. On my mama, together. We went to the county building together, bro. Oh, gosh. We go, everybody fight out of this. I hide in there, bro. I need you to think. Still did this.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about it. A couple things struck me about this snippet during this podcast. He said that he had to sell his catalog and he bought his mom a house for $50,000, which that's very nice. But if you can't afford it, you could have taken that $50,000 and, invested it, or at least put it in, a high earning savings account so that it could accrue some kind of interest. Because if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. The second thing that struck me is he said, both of his babies, I don't know who, I know, of course, he has the daughter with Eva, but I don't know who the other woman is. But he said, he appreciates them taking care of his girls. And he said that he's not, he was naming all these other artists. He said, why is my child support $2,000 a month? For two girls, is $2,000? That's not a lot of money. Like Britney Spears paid $40,000 a month for two boys. And her ex-husband, who she was only married to for 3 years, by the way, is still trying to eat off of her name and writing a book. But $2,000 a month, so that's $1,000 per baby, per child. That's not a lot of money, to be honest. I mean, when you think about all the expenses, food, clothes, medicine, school supplies, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, after school activities, just children are expensive. Even when they're young, you have diapers, formula, if the mother, chooses not to breastfeed, baby wipes, just, and kids grow out of clothes really quickly. I don't even have kids and I know this. And so $1,000 a month, that's really the bare minimum, to be honest, per child. So $2,000 a month, really, like I said, it isn't that much. And, him saying that it's not fair, it's like, I mean, not to, the older I get, I promise you, I feel like I sound like my grandma and my aunties and stuff. Baby, life ain't fair. What it does is, it can bring you down to your knees. Life will humble you. I know bills humble me every month, okay? But life will, oftentimes keep us humble. But the thing is, when we look back on Kevin McCall's personal choices, Eva spoke out on him being physically and verbally abusive toward her while she was pregnant with their daughter. She literally had to flee him for her safety. Other articles were written about the destructive choices that he made in regards to, spending that money on a lot of illegal substances alongside of Chris Brown. And if you don't have Chris Brown money, you can't be out here popping bottles and blowing, stacks of money on illegal substances because you're not breezy. Kevin Hart himself, who is a multimillionaire, he said when he first started out in his stand up, he said, I will never go out with professional athletes and NBA players ever again. He said, they had bottles, he wanted bottles. And then he said, when the bill came, he said, the way that my checking and savings is set up, okay. He said, I got to move some money from my savings to my checking. And, he said that he was nervous that it might not go through. At the end of the night, the NBA friend turned in and said, oh, okay, this was dope. You want to do it again tomorrow? He said, absolutely not. And he is a multimillionaire. He has his own production company. It's like, Kevin, instead of you kicking your feet and crying and snotting, showing your EBT card, and I'm thinking if you was doing the most, wearing a mask, like you said it was COVID, and hiding your face like you was Martin in the unemployment office with Myra, I mean, then if you did all that, then why did you, take the EBT card out and was waving it? Because now the clip has gone viral. But here's the thing, right? There's no shame in getting knocked down. It's if you choose to stay down, because in 2025 we can literally choose, how we want to make money. You can create content, you can start your own podcast, you can write some more music for other artists, you can literally write your own ticket. If you did it before, you can do it again. But this time it may take some more discipline, some more focus, a bit more hard work on your end, but it can be done. And so just because, you're not as successful as Chris Brown doesn't mean that you're entitled to the money that he has earned. Because trust and believe, Chris Brown is on the road earning money despite being locked up over at the UK, supposedly allegedly hitting people over the head with tequila bottles and the such. He had to settle that case out of court. You know, having not regulating your emotions as an adult is very expensive, and it's unfortunate that Kevin McCall is learning these lessons um, the hard way. But these are just him reaping what he's sown, pretty much. It's a consequence of the poor choices that you had. Because if you hadn't have bought your mom a house, I'm not saying you don't want to take care of your family, but if you can't afford it, then you just simply can't afford to do so. But don't come crying, about $2,000 a month for two children, two daughters. That is not a lot of money. If the judge would have said $20,000, then I can understand. I think that's what Tyrese was crying about a few years ago on the internet. His daughter is now 18 and lives with him, so he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. But I think he was paying around $20,000 a month. But the thing is, he had it with the Fast and Furious movies. There's all types of opportunities that he could take advantage of. He's in Atlanta. There's so many celebrities and what I mean, things to do. Like I said, and again, he could start his own platform. Kevin McCall at gmail.com, start a YouTube channel. All you need is a Gmail address and a microphone and some time and effort, and get guests that you've worked with in the past that are still willing to work with you. Because, like I said, word on the curb is, according to the reputation that precedes you, Kevin's burnt a lot of bridges. But if you continue to show up consistently, put in that work, and stop, whining and crying and, flashing the EBT card. And the gag is, aren't they shutting it off next month? I don't even know if people are going to still even receive EBT benefits anymore after this month. So he really gonna have something to cry about. But anyway, I'm not trying to kick the man while he's down. It just, at one point when he was on top, he had the model, with Eva by his side. He had the money, he had the clout and the fame, alongside of Chris Brown. But it's like all those, poor decisions of, being, verbally and physically and, just really harmful to Eva to the point while she was pregnant, by the way, that she had to fear for her safety. That's disgusting and despicable. You chose to sell your catalog. You didn't have to do that. You could have, lived below your means and eaten, you know, off of the royalties, but you chose not to do that. Life is about choices. You can choose to play the long game. He could have kept his catalog, had those royalty checks come in. Like, what it reminds me of? You guys remember Jason Weaver, The Lion King? His mom was in show business, and they offered Jason Weaver a lump sum when he was singing, I just can't wait to be king off of The Lion King. And she declined the lump sum and she said that she wanted the royalties. And shout out to Miles because Jason Weaver says he's been eating really good off of those Disney checks ever since The Lion King came out, which was what, around 30 years ago? 30 plus, I think. So life is about choices. You chose to sell your catalog. You chose to buy your mother a house. You chose to, do those substances allegedly along Chris Brown. You chose to create children with Eva and the other young lady. So you have an obligation to take care of them. They are your children. And you also chose not to be smart, fiscally and financially with your money because you had it. Whether or not you blew it on, hedonism and, all kind of substances and just foolishness. The mom for the house wasn't foolish, but from what I've heard, other things were foolish because you're not Chris Brown and you don't have the multi-millions that he has. And even him doing that is foolish. But Chris doesn't just, tour. He also reinvests his money. I think he owns like Burger King franchises and, other stuff as well. Like Shaquille O'Neal. He's one of the, I always see Shaq on some type of commercial or, he has so many different businesses from the general to, he has different pizza places. He has just all kind of brand deals and endorsements, and he still works. He still, is a commentator for sports. He also gives back. You know what I mean? So he didn't just, simply retire off his NBA, pension and the millions that he made. He reinvested those things into various businesses. And he has a lot of different businesses. Um, it's a choice. It's a choice because the gag is a lot of people, they don't have the lump sum or the amount of money that you had. Like I said, you didn't have to sell that catalog. You could have taken that money, lived, a very, humble means whatever, but you would at least had a steady, streaming of publishing and royalty checks. And then you could have reinvested it into other business ventures, but you instead chose to sell it. And so now you don't have any other money coming in. And again, that's a choice as well, right? Because, like I said, you could start a YouTube channel, a podcast, you could create content on, TikTok or Instagram or whatever. You could even teach other people how to be a songwriter. That's a skill, that people would pay you for because you have that platform and because you dated Eva and worked with Chris Brown, you have that celebrity status. There's all types of things that he could do, but he chose to go on the podcast and cry and flash his EBT card. And like I said, I don't know if the EBT card is going to be worth the plastic that it's on now because the government is shut down and they're running out of money. So I hope he figures it out fast. But, again, life is about choices. I hope he has somebody in his corner. Again, maybe his mom, after she bought him the house, she can give him some sound advice and maybe he'll listen. Who knows? But I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.